Hey everyone, welcome to NoDQ Live on Facebook.com. This will also be featured on demand at NoDQ's YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift.NoDQ. Thank you to all checking this video live as well as on demand. I appreciate the viewership. Let's talk about some of the things going on in wrestling right now. Unfortunately, we had some losses in the world of wrestling over the past few days. We lost Ivan Koloff, former WWF champion, as well as the great entertainer George the Animal Steele, and also Nicole Bass. Very sad to hear about these losses. My condolences go out to their family and friends. Let's start off by talking about Ivan Koloff. He was perhaps best known for ending the title reign, the historic title reign of Bruno Sammartino. Bruno had the WWF title, or should I say WWF title, for about 8 years, close to 8 years, and many people would call that title change the equivalent to Brock Lesnar ending the Undertaker streak. It was considered to be one of the most shocking moments of that era when Ivan Koloff won the title. And it was a very short reign. He lost right away to Pedro Morales, and then he ended up in the NWA for several years and had a run as a heel, a pretty successful run as a heel. He was the evil Russian, the Russian bear, Ivan Koloff. I thought he was an entertaining performer from what I've seen of him. And there actually is footage that exists of the Sammartino-Koloff match. I did post it on NoDQ.com. It's part of the whole Ivan Koloff post that I made. So check that out if you haven't already. It's an interesting match. The quality's not great, but it is something historic in the history of the wrestling business. Let me know any memories you have of Ivan Koloff in the comments. And let's talk about George the Animal Steele. George Steele was mostly before my time, but I did watch the old VHS tapes when I was a kid, so I was very familiar with George Steele's work in the 80s in the WWF. I even remember him teaming up with Mr. Fuji when he was still a heel against Hulk Hogan and Mean Gene Okerlund. That was entertaining, but many people will remember George Steele for his babyface run after the Rock and Wrestling Connection really took off. I remember the old TNT segments, and I actually watched some of those segments on the WWE Network. They have the TNT episodes where George Steele got shock treatment and Captain Lou Albano became the manager of George Steele. Some really entertaining stuff, and of course the clip of George Steele at the Detroit Zoo, that's up on WWE's YouTube channel. But the thing that most people will remember from George Steele was his feud with Randy Savage during 1986. George Steele being very kind to Elizabeth when Randy Savage would be mean and nasty to her. And this would eventually lead up to WrestleMania 3, the historic Randy Savage-Ricky Steamboat match. Randy Savage tried to use the ring bell to win the match, and George Steele prevented that from happening, leading to Ricky Steamboat capturing the IC title. So my favorite George Steele match, would probably be the tag match with George Steele and Mr. Fuji against Hulk Hogan and Gene Okerlund. I just have very fond memories of that match as a kid back in the day. And Ivan Koloff, I did watch the match with Sammartino. I haven't seen a lot of Koloff matches, but that one I think is very interesting to watch just from a historic perspective, to see how the wrestling business has changed. And there is commentary on that match, which does help a little bit watching that old footage. How's it going, Kyle? I also see a few other familiar names in here. Mike Nagel's in here, Chad Rico. So while we're on the topic of Ivan Koloff and the whole title change, I was going to ask you guys, I'll do this for every NoDQ live video. What is your favorite title change in WWE history or in wrestling history, period? Go ahead and list off some of your favorite title changes in the history of WWE and the wrestling business, and I'll go ahead and list off some of them. How's it going, Angel? Hope to see you on Raw this Monday at Staples Center. I will be there for Monday Night Raw. Hopefully the weather holds up. I mean, I came down here to LA to avoid the wet weather in Portland, and LA got one of its worst storms in about 7 or 8 years, which is insane. Matthew Wise says Stone Cold at WrestleMania 14. Definitely. Stone Cold winning his very first WWE title. The Austin era had begun, as JR put it. Cena to RVD at One Night Stand. That's another one. Goldberg and Hulk Hogan when Goldberg won the title in the Georgia Dome. In my opinion, the biggest match in WCW history when Goldberg beat Hogan in the Georgia Dome. Arguably WCW's biggest match. Sting over Flair, Clash of Champions. Yeah, it sucks, Kyle. I should be hanging out with you right now. Instead, I'm doing this. So thanks a lot, buddy. Savage, Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8 was another one someone mentioned. That was a pretty good one. I wouldn't say it was one of the biggest title changes, but, you know, it was a big match at the time. I would say it was one of the bigger title changes of the era. But then again, there weren't as many title changes back then, so it was more of a rarity when the title did change hands. Michaels Hart, WrestleMania 12. Absolutely. The boyhood dream coming true, Shawn Michaels. I mean, the first title reign is always really special, and I think Shawn Michaels, his whole post-match celebration, and Vince's commentary, I mean that told a really great story, and all the clips leading up to it of Shawn Michaels training with Jose Lothario, that was great stuff. I mean, the story they told was really well done. Bad News Barrett winning his first IC title. Good one, Garrett. I like that one. As we just mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, Ricky Lawson brings up Steamboat winning the IC title. You know, that ties into George Steele. That was huge. Ricky Steamboat winning the title. And Randy Savage had a really lengthy run as champion, too, for the IC title. He held that title, I believe, over a year at that point. And then Honky Tonk Man would go on to break that record. Jericho from Triple H. Well, that technically wasn't a title change. I mean, Triple H came out and had Earl Hebner reverse the decision. CM Punk Money in the Bank 2011 from Muhammad. That's his suggestion, his favorite. Yeah, that one absolutely was huge. You know, CM Punk, John Cena, that whole pipe bomb promo, and then the title change in Chicago. All the stars definitely aligned for that one. Yeah, CM Punk at Money in the Bank was definitely one of the bigger ones. I'm Ram says Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out. That was another big one. Definitely a special moment to see Eddie Guerrero win the world title. That was a significant title change. Lucas says, what's your favorite WrestleMania match of all time? Bret Hart, Steve Austin. No doubt my all-time favorite. Chad Rico says Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania 30. Definitely of the modern era, that's got to be one of the biggest title changes. Daniel Bryan winning his first... no, it wasn't his first WWE title. I was at the SummerSlam when he won his first title, but, you know, Randy Orton came out and quickly cashed in Money in the Bank. So Daniel Bryan winning at WrestleMania 30, I would say, was definitely a bigger deal in terms of Daniel Bryan winning the title and the whole celebration at WrestleMania 30. You know, the peak of all that. Ricky says, R.I.P. Nicole Bass. I mean, I feel bad about Nicole Bass, but, you know, she didn't really have a big career in WWE. With her, it was about trying to capitalize on China, and she was in ECW first. You know, we saw several women come in, the large bodybuilder types, coming off of the success of China. We had Nicole Bass, we had Asia in WCW, but nobody could really repeat the success that China had in WWE. But still, I mean, definitely sad to hear about her passing. What about Mick going over Rock to start off the Monday Night Wars? Yeah, Mick Foley winning the world title January 4th, 1999. That was huge. And many would say that was a real turning point in the Monday Night Wars when WCW could not beat WWE that night, despite giving it away, announcing that Cactus Jack won the world title. Boy, that'll put butts in the seats. And we saw what happened. You know, people tuned out in tuned out of Nitro and tuned into Raw to see Mick Foley win the title. Muhammad talks about the constant Raw women's title changes. Was it a ploy to boost ratings considering Raw's poor ratings recently? Yeah, it could be, but I also think WWE's trying to keep the Charlotte streak intact, which is why they're doing the title changes on Raw. John says, what about Sid winning from HBK? I'm not so sure I would consider that to be one of the big title changes. Sting versus Flair, Great American Bash 90. Absolutely, that one was huge for Sting to win the world title. Steven says WCW is and was stupid. Well, was. I mean, WCW doesn't exist anymore, but I guess it still is when you're watching back on it. Chris Jericho beating Rock and Austin on the same night. Yeah, I would say that one's pretty big. I mean, definitely up there, and Jericho has made it clear that that was huge, and he's made the effort to make sure we never forget it. Didn't Trish and Lita, when they main evented Raw, was a high-rated main event? Brendan asks this. I believe so. I mean, I do remember it doing a pretty good rating, but then again, Raw ratings were always doing really well, so it wasn't like one specific segment really excelled. I mean, I think the highest rating of 2000 might have been when The Rock faced Shane McMahon in a cage match on Raw, but I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact ratings from that period, but I do remember that one did really well, and I think the Lita Trish match did pretty well, all things considered. Although, if it did really well, you would think WWE would have done that more often, putting the women in the main event. The Rock versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 15. I mean, to me, that wasn't as big as Austin's first title win. I wouldn't say that that was one of the most memorable title changes in history, but, you know, certainly a pretty big one. You know, it was WrestleMania. Rock, Steve Austin, two of the biggest stars of all time, no doubt. Worst title change, David Arquette winning the title. Yeah, that would probably be the worst. Edge and Christian winning at WrestleMania 16. I'm not sure I would consider that to be one of the biggest title changes. You know, to me it was a very good match at WrestleMania, but I don't think it was really all that historic, and it's not like Edge and Christian were these top baby faces. It was, you know, for some people it was a downer for them to win the match. People wanted to see the Hardys win it, and it didn't happen. So I'm not sure I would consider that one to be one of the biggest. Let's see here. What would have happened if the Hardys and Edge and Christian signed with ECW instead? I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I don't think it would have really made that much of a difference. And quite frankly, I think the Hardys and Edge and Christian would have eventually ended up in WWE just like the ECW guys. But no doubt, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, when they got there, they revolutionized WWE in a way. And guys were able to get over by doing the crazy stunts, and the smaller guys could get over instead of your big bodybuilder types. And you know, they definitely changed the landscape of WWE and made it a more exciting product to watch. And hold on a second, stupid storage almost full. How is storage almost full when I'm doing a live streaming video? I have no idea, but whatever. How much longer does WWE have to live? They're not going out of business anytime soon. They're still profitable. They're still making money, and I do not see that changing anytime soon. I mean, they are a well-oiled machine as far as being a business goes. I do not see them dying anytime soon. Although maybe, you know what would be crazy if TNA somehow managed to outlive WWE. I say this all the time. I think TNA is going to outlive us all. What about Jeff Hardy winning the WWE Championship at Armageddon? Yeah, that was a pretty big one for Jeff Hardy to win the WWE title. I would definitely say that was a significant title change. Maybe not a top-tier one. I wouldn't say it was one of the biggest ones since it was at Armageddon after all. It wasn't like it was at WrestleMania or something. If ECW had a deal with HBO, do you think they would have done better? I don't know. I mean, there's so many what-if questions. What if Paul Heyman managed his money better and was able to market ECW to the mainstream better? So many what-if questions. But if ECW became mainstream, then it wouldn't have been what people liked about ECW. The fact that it was a renegade promotion, that it was underground. So if Paul Heyman made ECW mainstream, would it have been successful as ECW? So many what-if questions about it. It's really hard to say. Vince beating Triple H on SmackDown for the WWF title. I mean, if we're talking about the worst title changes of all time, that would certainly be up there. How would you book Bobby Roode's main roster debut, drafted or something else? I do not see Bobby Roode debuting on the main roster anytime soon, but I think he should be on the main roster soon, and I would just do what they did with Joe, or maybe even have a bidding war when they do the draft, where both Raw and SmackDown are trying to acquire the services of Bobby Roode, and then he has to make a choice. I kind of like that idea. Back in TNA, when you had all the managers fighting for Bobby Roode, you can have Shane and Stephanie both fighting for Bobby Roode's services and have it go back and forth for several weeks. I kind of like that idea to debut Bobby Roode on the main roster. JBL winning the title. Hell no. Nothing with JBL gets on my list, my greatest list of anything. As long as that bastard has me blocked, he's not going to be on any of my top lists. I mean, honestly, I think he had one of the most disappointing WWE title reigns of all time. I really felt like he was the champion because of his loyalty to the company and not necessarily because of the fact that he was a draw or anything. Just because Brock Lesnar had left and they needed a top heel, and hey, let's go with the guy who's been loyal for all these years. Let's give him a big thank you and put the title on him. And then just make him the top heel for a while because they had nobody else to be the top heel because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays. I mean, that was a great line from Paul Heyman. I love that line. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say JBL. Should Ziggler have been the one to beat Brock back at WrestleMania 31? No. Dolph Ziggler should have never beaten Brock Lesnar under any circumstances, no matter how much they pushed him. He was not the guy. How would you book Nakamura's debut? I would have him show up the night after WrestleMania in Orlando. Have him show up. You know he's going to get a huge reaction because that's the hardcore, the most hardcore fans there. They will go nuts for the guy, and first impressions are really important. Nakamura comes out there and you have 18,000 people going nuts for the guy. It's going to create the impression to the casual viewers at home that this guy is something special. Definitely, I would debut Nakamura the night after this year's WrestleMania. And then maybe debut Bobby Roode in the summer. Do what I said earlier. Have the two GMs fight over him for that spot. Craig Jones, is Gilberto the biggest troll in the world? Yes, he is. And a little bit of a scoop for you guys. A little bird told me that Gilberto is going to be at the Staples Center this coming Monday night. According to him, he is going to pass out TNA CDRs of the best of AJ Styles and TNA. And he's going to be part of the TNA street team passing out TNA merchandise. So that's the rumor that I've heard. Nothing confirmed at this point, but we'll see what happens on Monday night with Gilberto. But yeah, I've heard he's going to be there in some fashion. Do you think Nakamura will be on Raw or SmackDown? I think he would probably be on SmackDown. I mean, I think Raw's got a loaded roster right now. And I think he would shine better on SmackDown. I'm not sure. I mean, that one I could see going either way. But with Joe on Raw, and since Joe and Nakamura just recently feuded, I think WWE would keep those two guys separate for the time being. So I could see Nakamura being on SmackDown. But he could end up on either show. I mean, it's really hard to say. I mean, what do you guys think? Which show do you think Nakamura would be better on, Raw or SmackDown? Leave a comment. I might actually post a poll up on NoDQ in a little bit to get some feedback on that. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Yeah, more people are watching this than Noah Mania, Kyle. Yeah, nice observation there. When do you think the draft will be? I think it's going to be in June, once a year. I mean, to me, that seems to make sense. I mean, I can definitely see the argument for doing it right after WrestleMania, but, if they do it in June, that's fine too, between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Do you think Eric Rowan will bring Sister Abigail? No. I would be shocked if we ever see Sister Abigail. And I get this question, this is one of those questions I get the most. Who's going to be Sister Abigail? When are we going to see Sister Abigail? And we never see Sister Abigail. I think it's just... a gimmick. It's not going to really amount to anything. It's just a reference that Bray Wyatt likes to make, and that's it. I think if WWE was going to bring in somebody to be Sister Abigail, it would have happened a long time ago. With that being said, it could always happen where somebody says, hey, let's do a Sister Abigail character, and they'll just have to explain why this character hasn't shown up for 4 years. And hopefully have it make sense. But then again, it's wrestling, so nothing really makes sense to begin with. Have you seen the video he had? There was a woman. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Anthony Young. Will Paige ever return to WWE? Asks Mr. Kyle, Interstate Kyle. Maybe, but I would not be surprised if we never see Paige in a WWE ring again. But now, I think now that this movie project with The Rock is happening, I think that might increase the chances of her coming back. Just because there's going to be that publicity from the movie, and WWE might want to capitalize on it. So, 3 months ago, I would have said it's unlikely we're going to see her again. But now, maybe we will see her come back when she's ready, which would be May, June, somewhere around there. I think there's definitely more of a possibility than before. Thoughts on the future of Impact with the new owners? Bleak. I really don't see Jeff Jarrett working out. I mean, I think going back to the past is not going to fix anything. I've said this a million times. I think TNA needs a new vision, new people in charge, new ideas, new concepts, and they need a new identity. And Jeff Jarrett is just going back to what did not work in the past. So I think it's just going to be running on a treadmill. It's just going to be the same old TNA. Ricky Lawson asks, is Eva Marie gone? It sure seems like it. I mean, she has been eligible to return to TV for months now, and WWE has not brought her back. I think they just decided to cut their losses with her. And yeah, she's dropped the references to WWE on her social media, so that seems to be an indication right there that she's looking past WWE, which I think for a lot of people, they're rejoicing in that, and nobody's really going to be that upset about Eva Marie being gone. Where are your seats for Raw? I am 101 row 4, so you will most certainly see me on television if you look hard enough. 101 is across from the hard camera, so you'll probably be able to see me in most of the wide shots of the ring, and maybe even some of the close-ups. So I'm going to bring a mark sign. I'm going to bring Y Owens Y and hold it up right when Raw starts, just so I can get on TV. Maybe I'll have Jeff be a mark and hold it up. I'm going to bring some signs, some shout-outs. Not going to promote my own shit, I'll probably just get the signs confiscated anyways, and I don't want to be a mark for myself, so I'll just bring some shout-out signs to a couple of people that are cool with me and I feel deserve a sign on television. Maybe I'll bring a Gilberto Loves WWE sign just to troll Mr. Gilberto. We'll see about that. Bring an Interstate Kyle sign. I'm not referencing Noah. I'm definitely not giving Noah publicity. He's not getting publicity from me, damn it. I might bring a General Isaac sign. I might show some support, or a blessing sign. I'm really thinking about shouting out a couple of the NoDQ forums group members for Raw on Monday. Where has Noah been? He's got his own channel on NoahMania.com. You guys can check that out and watch the scoop there. That's the plug I'm going to give him. No, I'm not bringing a NoDQ sign. I'm not going to be a mark for myself. Nagel World Order. We'll see about that. I'm not sure what I'm going to bring yet, but definitely going to bring a mark sign. I'm going to bring the Y Owens Y sign and hold it up. And I'm going to also make the exaggerated reactions like, oh my god, like anytime something happens, like anytime there's a big spot in a match, just so I can try to get that reaction, when they always shoot to an angle where there's a fan reacting to a near fall. So I'm going to overreact the whole night to try to get on television, just to be a goofball, just have fun with it. So you guys will probably see me on Raw. It'll be fun. My sign will say Raw is LA. Hey, Angel, you want to be on TV? Bring a pro Roman Reigns sign. I might do that too. I might bring a Roman Reigns is awesome or something. Try to come up with something cool. I love the Roman Empire or something silly that I know they'll point to on television. Any ideas for your 1000th show yet? I've thought about maybe trying to figure out a way to have people do video questions and send in their video questions, and I can answer directly to the video. I was thinking about maybe doing that for the 1000th video. I've had a couple of ideas that I've been throwing around. Maybe do a Skype conference with several people. I've thought of a lot of different things. Bring I Heart Roman sign. Yeah, I might do that. But my advice to anybody, you want to get on TV at Raw or SmackDown, bring a pro Roman Reigns sign. That's your best way to get on television. And mark out for, yeah, as Adam says here, mark out for Reigns. Mark out for anything Roman Reigns does, and you can get on TV. That's how you do it. Will Seth Rollins be back in time for WrestleMania? I think so. It seems like WWE is moving in that direction. You know, they're gonna go through with Triple H versus Seth Rollins. Roman is love, Roman is life, says Ed. Make Roman look strong. Now I can't be sarcastic. I'm not sure how hip Kevin Dunn is, but if they can pick up on the sarcasm, I don't think they'll bring it. Bring a Samoan cake sign. WWE is so stubborn, might as well make him a heel. Well, there, John Cena, please come to India. That would be funny. I might consider that. I'm gonna try to bring like 3 signs with something on each side. You know, as many as I can bring. But I'll have Jeff be the mark and hold up most of those signs, so I don't look like such a mark there on Monday Night Raw in front of millions of people. Hey, Hemp sign. We'll see. John, you think Seth versus Triple H will close WrestleMania or Goldberg versus Brock? I think it's more likely it'll be Goldberg versus Brock, but I mean, I don't know. I really am not sure at this point. I have mixed feelings, but I think the fans should be sent home happy. So whatever you go with, you want WrestleMania to end with a bang, not with a whimper. And I think last year it ended with a whimper. I would avoid that this year. I would end WrestleMania like 31 or 30. 30 had a great ending. 31 had a great ending. When everybody left the Levi's Stadium, people were buzzing in a positive way. People were high-fiving each other, and people just left in a very good mood. And I think that's how you should end WrestleMania, with a high note, and do something to send the fans home happy. Angel says he will be at SmackDown in Ontario. Have fun with that. I will be back in Portland by then, but that should be a huge SmackDown. I mean, if I was staying in LA an extra day, I probably would have gone to that Ontario SmackDown, since they're doing this big match, this big monkey wrench in the whole Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt storyline. Do you think we will see Miz versus Daniel Bryan? Asks John. No, do not see that match happening, which is weird because it seems like WWE is building up towards Daniel Bryan wrestling again, but realistically, I don't see it happening. I'll believe it when I see it, and I really don't think they're going to do it. No Hamp, not going to WrestleMania this year. I do not like traveling really far. I don't mind flying from Portland to Los Angeles. It's very easy. Alaskan Airlines is great. But doing a 4 to 5 hour flight for wrestling, I mean, and the thing is, too, I do the videos. I do the recap videos, and, when I'm at the show live, it's a lot more difficult to produce content. And when I do not produce content, then I do not make money. So I lose money by doing that, plus I'm spending money on doing the trip. So financially, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to travel across the country for WrestleMania. I did it for WrestleMania 31 because it was 4.5 hours from where I was living at the time, and it was very convenient to go to WrestleMania. But going to Orlando, not so much of something I want to do at this point. I mean, I'll go to WrestleMania again when it's on the West Coast. So if it's in California or Seattle, I'd love for it to be in the Pacific Northwest, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see WrestleMania in Texas, and then Florida, and then maybe California, and then back to Texas, and then back to Florida again, and it's just going to be that pattern. sucks for the Northeast too, because with the cold weather, it's difficult. Adam says, still doing the DDP yoga? Definitely. I've actually implemented a lot of DDP's moves into my regular workout routine. So, I don't even play the DVD. I know most of the poses by now. And, just when I'm doing a warm-up for a workout, I'll do some DDP yoga. It's very effective stuff. I'm in the best shape of my life health-wise, and I feel great, and DDP has definitely helped. I definitely feel more flexible, and I feel like I have more energy during the day. DDP yoga is great. I mean, great program, and I definitely recommend people checking it out and really giving it a shot. The whole idea is you gotta dig in, and you gotta start doing it. It's hard at first if you're not used to it, but every day you get a little bit stronger, and you get in a little bit better shape when you do it. Just take it one day at a time. Would you like to see Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin at WrestleMania for the IC title? Yes, I think WWE should do that, and I think that Baron Corbin should win the IC title. That would be the place to do it. Martin, how long before Cody Rhodes returns? No idea. You would have to ask Cody. Am I dying to see Cody Rhodes in WWE again? Not really. He had his run, whatever. I mean, Cody Rhodes, to me, a little bit overrated. I think he's a good wrestler, but I wouldn't say he's one of the best in the world. Some people might. To me, he's just a good wrestler and a good promo, and that's it. He's just good. I don't know what else to say about him. Do you think Rick Rude will be inducted this year? I hope so. I mean, that was the rumor, but at this point, until it's confirmed, so far, I don't think Rock and Roll Express and Teddy Long were on the rumored list of Hall of Fame candidates for this year, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure if Rick Rude's going to be in, but should he be in? Absolutely. I think Vader should be in, especially if his health is as serious as he's making it out to be. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame this year as soon as possible when he's still alive. And will Roman beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania? Would not surprise me. I think he should turn heel if he does. I think he could make his career by ending The Undertaker's as a heel. But I could see him winning as a babyface, crowd booing, and WWE just going, blah, 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 can't hear you. And just they go on with what they're doing with Roman, which is Cena 2.0. Thoughts on the Broken Hardys winning all tag team titles storyline? Why not? Have the Hardys just win everything. They should just be on TNA 24/7. I really don't care at this point. I don't care about TNA. I've gotten questions. I'll talk more about it on NoDQ video because somebody asked me a question about TNA. I think they're going nowhere fast, to put it in the words of Mo Howard. TNA is just a dead brand. I've said it. I'm beating a dead horse to the ground here by saying it, but I even watched some of the recent stuff that they've done with Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, and to me, it felt very low rent. It didn't make any kind of emotional effect on me. The stuff with Lashley and Josh Barnett, I thought it was amateur hour. Just didn't feel like anything important. And Josh Matthews, that guy. Okay, so he goes on Twitter and he did this YouTube video saying he was the best announcer in wrestling, and it feels like he's almost trying to take all this negative feedback and turn himself into a heel character on Twitter, but it's pathetic. Josh Matthews is probably the worst announcer in wrestling today. I would say worse than Byron Saxton and worse than David Otunga. And that's saying a lot, people. That is saying a lot. But I don't know. Something about that guy. Douche is the phrase that I would use. Just that guy rubs me the wrong way. Everything about his demeanor and his attitude just doesn't come off like a likable person at all. I think he's terrible. I think they could have a monkey going out there and making noises, and it would be more entertaining than Josh Matthews. That's my opinion. Hell, bring back Scott Steiner. Have Scott Steiner do play-by-play. I would tune in every week to Impact if Scott Steiner was doing play-by-play announcing, or have him be the ring announcer. That would be awesome. The wrestling world needs more Scott Steiner. Hell, TNA's going nowhere, so why not? Bring in Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pop, to use the English language as only he can. Robert says, what's up? I was at the Raw house show last night. Yeah, I saw the clips. I saw some of the photos. I guess Brock came out there and beat up a bunch of lower card guys, gave Titus O'Neil the F5. So WWE making the money off of Brock Lesnar. That's a good thing. Yeah, Booker T and Scott Steiner on commentary. I still remember that Impact. I mean, say what you will about TNA, but that was some very entertaining stuff. And I still remember it here in 2017. What was it? Chad Lemon or something Snow? What were the names? Somebody throw out the names for me. But you had Booker T on commentary and Kevin Nash out there and Scott Steiner doing the commentary. Hailing from Dunkin' Donuts, Samoa Joe. I mean, that was a great episode of Impact. I love it. Yeah, Chet Lemon and Black Snow. That was it. Christopher says, do you see Bobby Lashley coming back to WWE? Maybe. But at this point, it seems like he's content doing his thing in TNA. He's the world champion. He's the big fish in the small pond. And if they're paying him good money, then he's just going to do what he's going to do and collect the paycheck as long as he can. And if TNA goes belly up, then maybe we will see him in a WWE ring again at some point. I still don't feel like his promos have gotten any better. There's just something about him that, I don't know if it's his voice or what, but he just doesn't come off as that intimidating when he talks. When he's in the ring, yeah, he can be a badass, but I think he should really keep his promos as short as possible, and I think the less he says, the better. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up this edition of NoDQ Live. Thank you guys for tuning in. I enjoyed interacting with you guys in the chat. If you missed this video or missed part of it, the on-demand version will be up on NoDQ's YouTube channel momentarily, so check that out. Subscribe, youtube.com/AaronRiffNoDQ. And if you're watching this on YouTube on demand and you want to be part of the live chat, I do these videos at random times, so you got to be friends with me on Facebook, facebook.com/AaronRift. But I'm maxed out at 5,000 friends, but maybe I can delete a few of the spam accounts that add me all the time and add some more people on there. So thank you, Robert, for the question. Thank you for all the pictures and video from the show. Thank you for that. And thank you all for tuning in. I will see you guys next time.